As Art Deco took hold of architecture and fashion in the 1920s, it made its way onto the rails too, turning ordinary trains into something unforgettable. Trains, once hulking beasts of smoke and soot, began to transform. Suddenly, they weren't just moving people or freight, they were also turning heads. They gleamed, they curved, they looked fast even when parked. And it wasn't just about engineering anymore, it was about art, about style. It was about Art Deco. The turning point? The pioneer Zephyr. In 1934, it rolled out looking like it belonged to tomorrow. Polished stainless steel, bullet-shaped, and bold. It shattered all speed records and expectations. So what changed? Why did trains suddenly become some of the coolest machines of the decade? Today, we're going into the golden age of rail and the design revolution that turned steel into style. Before the 1930s turned trains into gleaming silver icons, locomotives were all grit and muscle. In the 1800s, steam engines looked more like iron beasts than symbols of progress. Loud, clunky, and wrapped in soot, they moved across the countryside with brute force, not beauty. Even the stations they stopped at, though grand, spoke the language of old-world architecture. Gothic spires, Romanesque arches, Beaux-Arts domes, picture castles with clocks and cathedrals with ticket counters. Stunning, yes, but futuristic? Not quite. By the early 20th century, a few signs of modernization crept in. Yet most trains still resembled relics from the Victorian age, with tall smokestacks, brass trimmings, and boxy tenders. They had charm, but they didn't capture the spirit of a new era. Things began shifting after World War I. In the US, the Railroad Administration pushed for standardization, trading beauty for bulk. Ornament was out, uniformity in. Trains began looking tougher and more streamlined. Across the Atlantic, British engines dropped their frilly features too. Speed and power took center stage, but something was still missing. Trains had muscle. What they needed was style. That spark, a fusion of elegance and engineering, would come in the 1920s, draped in chrome and confidence, and its name was Art Deco. It started in Paris, like most stylish revolutions. The year was 1925. At the Exposition Internationale des Arts Décoratifs, French designers unveiled a bold new look, sharp lines, sleek geometry, shiny chrome, and a sense of movement that felt electric. It was everything Art Nouveau wasn't, not soft or floral, but confident, modern, and built for speed. The world was hooked. Soon, Art Deco was everywhere, gracing New York's skyline, Miami's beachfront hotels, London's cinemas, and even the typography on matchbooks. By the late 1920s, railroads were losing their edge. Cars were everywhere. Airplanes were getting faster. Trains, once the pride of modern travel, suddenly seemed stuck in the past. They needed reinvention. But on the surface, Art Deco offered the perfect facelift. It looked modern, and it felt fast. Railroads launched bold new poster campaigns, replacing dull realism with dynamic energy. Artists like A.M. Cassandre turned trains into missiles of motion, all clean lines and visual thrust. Saturated colors, big fonts, vanishing points. It was visual adrenaline. And soon, the trains themselves caught up. The curves got smoother, the paint got glossier, and for the first time, railroads wowed them. The 1920s laid the groundwork, but it was the 1930s when Art Deco trains really took off. Suddenly, trains weren't just machines, they were dreams on rails. Smooth, fast, futuristic. Germany kicked things off with the flying hamburger in 1933. Sounds funny now, but back then it was advanced. A rounded, streamlined train that looked more like a spaceship than a steam engine. It cruised at 77 miles per hour, which was unheard of for regular service at the time. Not to be outdone, America fired back with the Union Pacific M-10,000. Built from shiny aluminum and painted in golden hues, it looked like something out of a comic book. Lightweight, fast, and fuel-efficient. It was an ongoing science experiment, and it worked. Then came the star of the show, the Burlington Zephyr. All stainless steel, diesel-powered, and unapologetically shiny. It broke speed records, turned heads, and stole hearts. The term streamliner quickly caught as a marketing goldmine. Railroads slapped it on posters, menus, and even napkins. When it made its record-breaking run from Denver to Chicago in 13 hours, people lined up just to see it. The Zephyr was a symbol. Kids collected its postcards, stores sold toy versions, and suddenly, railroads weren't just catching up, they were setting the pace. Even in the middle of the Great Depression, these trains reminded people the future still had room to shine. It wasn't just America jumping on the Art Deco train. America had the Zephyr, Germany had the Hamburger, but Britain, they had the Mallard, and it flew. In Britain, the movement took shape in steel. By 1935, the London and Northeastern Railway rolled out the A4 Pacific class, elegant curved locomotives with names like Silver Jubilee and Mallard. And Mallard didn't just look like a bullet, it was just like one. In 1938, it hit 126 miles per hour, a world record for steam that still stands. Painted a deep ocean blue with chrome accents, it felt more like a luxury yacht than a train. Meanwhile, France was turning train ads into gallery pieces. Artists like Cassandre used bold angles and dramatic shadows to make even a static poster feel like it was in motion. In Japan, trains got better and smarter. The C-53 Pacific and the Tsubame Express, nicknamed the Swallow, symbolized modern progress. The Tsubame, launched in 1930, connected Tokyo to Kobe at record speeds for its time. It got a stylish redesign, where Japanese artists like Munetsugu Satomi made these trains look like bold, modern posters, turning railway travel into a point of pride and progress. Even the Soviet Union got in on it. Their style? More muscle than grace. Locomotives framed with bold reds, chunky lettering, and trains exploding out of starbursts. These train ads projected the unstoppable force of the Soviet Union. Trains might have turned heads in the 1930s, but the stations? They stopped people in their tracks. This was the Art Deco era, when cities were being reshaped by bold lines, rich materials, and a new kind of elegance. Train stations weren't just places to get from A to B. They were built to impress. Look at Buffalo Central Terminal. Opened in 1929, it soared 15 stories high. The main hall felt more like a grand movie set than a stop on your commute. Bronze touches, giant windows, polished stone everywhere. It was a statement. Then there's Union Terminal in Cincinnati from 1933. Its massive rotunda looked like something straight out of a superhero movie. Inside, a glowing mural the height of an 18-story building, radiant sunburst windows, and glossy terrazzo floors giving a spaceship-like vibe. Philadelphia's 30th Street Station had a more classical feel, but with Art Deco balance and detail. And over in Helsinki, their central station looked like it was carved by time-traveling architects. Clean lines and bold stone statues. These weren't just waiting rooms, they were portals. Every sign, every light, even the ticket counters, told a story. Art Deco turned travel into a moment and made you feel like your journey had already begun before the train even pulled in. But here's the thing, design never stands still. Just as these stations were blowing people away, something else was quietly shifting on the rails. A new look was about to roll in. Something smoother, more refined, and built for motion. As the world changed in the 1930s, so did Deco. The glitz took a back seat. What rolled forward was Streamline Moderne, a cooler version of the style, built for tough times and fast dreams. The lines got longer, the corners softened. Excess was out, efficiency was in, but without losing the wow factor. This was Deco built for motion. The Pennsylvania Railroad's GG1 engine was the poster child. Designed with help from Raymond Loewy, it had a sleek electric body, golden pinstripes, and curves that screamed speed. It didn't look like it belonged on tracks, it looked like it belonged in a wind tunnel. Fun fact, the GG1 was so well designed, it stayed in active service for over 50 years, outlasting almost every other electric locomotive of its time. Even freight trains joined the makeover. Minimalism swept through advertising too. One 1938 New Haven Railroad poster showed nothing but a train silhouette and sky. No words, no sales pitch, just forward momentum. Streetcars weren't left behind. The PCC streetcars, introduced in 1935, zipped through city streets like silver bullets. Suddenly, even a ride to work felt a little glamorous. And though war was coming, and the golden era would soon fade, these designs left a legacy, not just in how trains looked, but how they felt, like the future just arriving. When World War II broke out, priorities shifted fast. Steel went into tanks, not trains. Colors faded, designs got stripped down, and Art Deco, once a symbol of tomorrow, began to feel like a thing of the past. But time has a funny way of reshaping memories. Years later, people started looking back and feeling something more than nostalgia. Because Deco trains weren't just beautiful, they stood for something bigger: progress, optimism, and the belief that the future could be full of hope. That spirit still echoes. It lives in restored streamliners, in model railroads built with obsessive care, in Amtrak posters that echo Deco's bold lines. You can hear it in the polished hum of the Burlington Zephyr at Chicago's Museum of Science and Industry. Because those trains were promises, a reminder that when art and engineering move together, they don't just take us somewhere, they make us believe we're going somewhere worth reaching. Today's trains are fast, but back then, they were something else. They had soul. In the 1930s, a train wasn't just a way to get somewhere. It meant something. It felt like the future, wrapped in silver and speeding toward tomorrow. If this video brought back a bit of that magic, give it a like and hit that subscribe button. So if you had one day to ride an Art Deco train, which one would you pick? The Burlington Zephyr, the Mallard, or the Flying Hamburger? Drop your choice in the comments. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.